Well, hello again, everybody. My name is Andy Schaefer. I'm very happy to be with you today. I'm president of Defined, and I'm joined by our global head of product development, Lisa Wolf. We're very excited to be with you today to share with you a little bit more about the latest and greatest from Defined Learning. So today, we're going to be talking about as I mentioned, Defined Learning, but just tell you a little bit more about what we do for those of you that may be seeing us for the first time. Defined is an organization that partners with schools, school districts, state departments of education, and we work with about 10,000 or so schools across the United States. Defined Learning is a library of standards-aligned, ready-to-use, deeper learning projects and opportunities for students in all subject areas, K through 12. Defined Careers is a platform for students to experience hundreds of different careers via project-based learning and virtual internship opportunities. And Defined Academy is all the professional learning that supports all the above. You'll also hear a little bit today about Defined Goals, which is a wrap around everything that helps our partners track their progress towards portrait of graduate initiatives and similar goals they may have for their district. Today, we're going to be focusing in on Defined Learning. If you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide, Lisa. And also just today to make mention, I mentioned we work with about 10,000 schools across the U.S. and elsewhere. But if you happen to be coming to us today from Tennessee, from Connecticut, or from Oklahoma, everything that you will be seeing here today is something that you already have access to. And so we thank our partners in those states, their Department of Education and TSIN as well in Tennessee. But you'll be able to reach us if you haven't been able to access our services yet, and we'll be happy to help you out in doing so. So last month, we had the great opportunity to host our annual STEM and PBL conference, where we had leaders from across the country talking about their stories, how they're introducing and utilizing career-connected learning and project-based learning in their school districts. We had some great questions come out of the sessions, and we're going to start today. And I'm going to be asking Lisa to talk about a couple of the main questions that we are asked during that session. The first is, how does Defined Learning incorporate real-world careers into its projects to enhance student learning experiences? And also, how does Defined Learning excite students about their future career paths and empower them with the essential or durable skills for college, career, and life? So we'll start right there, Lisa. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Great. Thank you so much, Andy. And thank you all for joining. It's so lovely to be with you this afternoon. But what you'll see, to kind of go back to those two questions, is when I provide the demo here in just a little bit, is that each project within Defined Learning is actually presented through the lens of a career. Prior to even coming to Defined, I was a high school math teacher. And I know one of the most common questions I got as a math teacher was, when am I ever going to use this? So Defined Learning really helps with that. It utilizes, like Andy mentioned, those hands-on career-connected learning, which is really supported by the research of Wiggins and McTighe using the Understanding by Design framework, which really helps to provide a chance for students to be able to apply their academic content that they're learning. But then it's also going to be in those real-life situations. We've got a goal, role, audience, and situation in each one of our projects that you're going to see when I get into a specific performance task. And really, by allowing students to demonstrate their learning through the creation of all of these products that you're going to be able to see here, they're all related to that real life career. So students are going to not only demonstrate the deeper learning and understanding of this academic content, but they're also learning about careers and the potential future career paths, all while equipping them with future-ready skills. And you'll see this as well, too, when I dig in there. But they're going to be able to work on communication or collaboration, critical thinking, all of those skills that they're going to be able to use for the rest of their lives. So lots of really good stuff that we're going to dig into today.
Well, thanks, Lisa. And you know how excited I am, but I also know we have a lot of people out there that are really excited to dive in, particularly those who haven't had the opportunity to see Defined Learning before. So how about, can we go ahead and dive right into the surface and see what it's all about?
Absolutely. Let's get right to the good stuff here. So I'm going to be logged in here. We're going to go right into the platform. And I'm going to be logged in and showing you Defined Learning today from the educator side. So you'll be able to kind of really dig deep into the projects here. So I'm right now on the dashboard of an educator side of Define Learning right now. So you'll notice a couple of different things that I'm going to show you. Up at the top, we have our course library, and this is going to be all of the different content areas of all of the different projects that we have. Down below is where we have specific courses. So there's a couple of different ways that you can search for a specific project within Define Learning. Up here at the top, you'll notice there is a search bar. So you can search by keyword, whether it's content or if you're searching for a particular career that you want to focus, that is one way to do it. You can also search by standard. I'm based in the Denver, Colorado area, so I've got my Colorado account up here, and you can search by any of the different, we've got state standards as well as a number of other different sets in here, depending on what you want to have in your district. Now, as a former teacher, I would likely just go right into one of our content areas here. And you'll notice we've got all of the core content areas here. We've got math, science, ELA, social studies. In addition, I know a lot of states have a computer science initiative that they might have. We've got a lot of great computer science content as well. I'm going to go into math and just kind of show you what this looks like from a math perspective. So when we go in here, you're going to see down here at the bottom all of these different courses. So we go from K to 1, it's broken down by all of these different grade bands, and then goes right into all of the different, courses that a typical high school, middle school, elementary would have in this particular subject area. We'll go kind of right in the middle. I'm going to dig into grade 6. And you'll see when I click on that grade 6, a couple of things pop up here. We'll start right here at the top. For every course within Define Learning, we're providing teachers resources as well as students. Each course has a dedicated course playbook. So if you're new to Define Learning and want to learn a little bit about the course itself, and how do I start? Where do I get started with Define Learning and getting this into my classroom? We've got just kind of a nice little overview of what you're going to find within this particular course. We also have 2 additional resources here too. We've got the teacher task plan, which again, to help those teachers in how do I use this? And kind of another question we get a lot is the timing. How long does a typical project take when I'm doing this in a class? And everybody can modify it for how they want, but we just have a guideline here. You're going to see as I go through the a presentation here in just a little bit, all of these different parts here that we've got it kind of broken down just to give educators an idea of what to expect and how that might work in their class. And then finally, we have the student task plan. Sometimes PBL is going to be new to students and they're not used to being able to, design and create and analyze and the whole design process that you're going to see a little bit as we go through an actual task here. But we've got a worksheet here that if teachers would like to have students working through this, right there, you see some really great kind of check-in questions, whether students are doing this on their own or working together in teams, kind of focusing on collaboration. We've got there as well. So those are going to be 3 resources that are there. Now, I will also mention in the elementary, so grades K through 5, we also have a book catalog there. We know obviously literacy is a huge part in elementary, and there's a lot of great books that teachers are using within their courses as well and teaching. And it can kind of show all of the different tasks at that elementary level that are related to different commonly used books within the classes. Now, over here on the right, you're going to notice the unit outline. So all of these courses, if you remember, I went into grade 6 math, are going to be lined up and kind of aligned to a typical grade 6 curriculum. So you can obviously go in whatever order you want. But again, when you're kind of looking here in terms of all of the different content area, you can kind of see at a glance all of the different content that's going to be covered. And of course, you can always search by standard or search elsewhere as well. But that's kind of a nice, easy way for a teacher to go in and see everything about what the projects are, as well as what the careers are that they can experience. So I'm going to go down in here to Unit 2, where it's expressions, equations, inequalities, and we'll take a look at food trunk entrepreneur. So right here, again, kind of like your dashboard where we had 2 different parts, the top and the bottom there, we're going to break this down into 2 parts as well. You'll notice that this project, we've got a slideshow at the top, and I'm going to walk you through that. And this is all directly aligned to that teacher task plan that I showed you earlier. And down here underneath that, we've got a number of different tabs. So as you're starting to explore, is this going to be the right project for me to use in my classroom? We've got the introduction about what is going in here. You're going to see all of the different products. Each one of our performance tasks has anywhere between 2 and 3 products typically. So you can see exactly what they would be creating. Each product has a rubric. These are all scoreable rubrics so that when students are submitting their products within the platform, you're able to just score it right there. And these are all ready-made for you. Although I will mention that everything that you're seeing right now is also customizable as well. As we go through the presentation, you're going to see some embedded check-ins as well. So we've got all of the different check-ins that are going to be presented through the presentation, and students can be working on those and submitting their answers if this is where you would come back to grade those. We also have a whole set of resources here. We've got resources just for teachers as well as student resources as well. And I will also mention while I'm scrolled down here, some tasks have additional support materials right there. You can see we've got some PDFs over here that are associated with the products as well. So some have them, some don't, but that is there as well. Now, I mentioned earlier, everything is aligned to standards and defined learning. So as we saw earlier when I could search by standard, all of the standards for each one of these is going to be mentioned right here as well. So I could see right off the bat, which one of these grade 6 standards am I going to be hitting as I present and use this within my classroom. And the very last tab over here is if you do have, all students in middle school and high school would have access to our Defined Careers Connections, where again, it's really helping students to get excited about the careers. And this is going to show them additional careers. If they really liked what they were doing with the food truck entrepreneur, what are 3 other careers that are kind of related to that? And they're able to explore that in defined careers. And even if they don't have defined careers, you can always come out and just see some information about particular careers here. But they can, if you do have access to it, then be able to experience that right there. So that is what all of the tabs are below. So kind of at a glance, teachers can go in, explore that task. But now let's actually go through an actual presentation here. So teachers can assign these out to students, or they can be, using this as a guided instructional tool right within their classroom as well. Lots of different, flexibility in terms of how they do this. But one of the things that we're really trying to do with students is help them understand where this is going to be, like I said, used in the real life. So we're going to have an introduction, a little bit about the actual career that they are looking at here and going to be learning about throughout the project. We're going to make that real world connection for them. Again, like I said, it was always, I wish I would have had this when I was a teacher. It really brings that relevance to all of the different content that they're going to be learning within their particular academic area. And then we've got those check-ins embedded along the way as well. So here, again, they can be used as, discussion questions, or you can have students answering them right within the platform. They can be entrance exit slips, however you would like to use these as well to kind of check for understanding. Now, we like to present everything in terms of a real life situation, and something in terms of really kind of having authenticity here when we're having students learn about all of these things. So every single task is going to have a goal, role, audience, and situation. And I'll play just a little bit of this video to kind of give you an idea of what it is like when students are going through the, obviously I'm not playing every video as we go through here, but do want to show just a little bit of this one.
When Lisa, the audio isn't coming through, so.
Create a business to make your
Sorry.
food based upon the foods offered, how much you sell, the goods needed for the truck, and the cost of getting the truck from place to place. In your role, you are an entrepreneur who has decided to start a food truck business, serving fresh food from local farms. You are planning on traveling and selling your food out of a food truck at fairs, outside markets, and carnivals within a 60-mile radius of your location.
So just wanted to give you a little bit of a, a snippet just to kind of show you a little bit about that, but we're going to walk students through, the goal, role, audience, and situation, which we have in text right there as well. And you also saw that I had subtitles there for English and Spanish. So a number of different ways to do accommodations for students there too. So after students have been introduced, they have the goal, role, audience, and situation. Again, we're going to pause, have some check-ins, see where they're at. What problem are we trying to solve, and how might you go about doing this? Then we have students begin their research. So we've got a couple of different questions here to kind of help guide their research, and whether you're doing this as a class or you're working through having them work in teams, or there's a couple of different ways, of course, that you can do this, but we've got some kind of structured questions there that they can be thinking about. We're going to be introducing any job-specific vocabulary to kind of help them understand a little bit more about the career. It's going to help them with their products as well. And we're going to help them out with some research resources. They're welcome to do any sort of research they want on their own, but this is just there to get them started. Now I'm showing, like I said, a middle school task, and middle and high school are going to have all of those parts. A little bit different for the K-5 tasks. Now we know there's not a lot of age appropriate content for elementary students. So we do something a little bit different there for elementaries, just as an FYI. We do more constructed response and more of a guided exploration within the class. So we've got constructed response prompts right there within the tasks themselves, so that teachers can really help them with that research as well. So just a little side note of how that's a little bit different in the elementary version. Now, we already saw when we were going through the tabs down below that there were 2 products for that. So that is also built right into the presentation here. We've got a fuel expense chart as well as the monthly budget. And teachers can decide whether they're going to have all students do both, or maybe they want to have different teams do different ones, or maybe they're just going to have them focus on one. Completely up to the educators. And like I said, all of this is customizable, that I'll kind of show you here in a little bit as well. But we're going to provide a little bit more information about both of these products for students. And again, those are all recapped down below as well that I showed earlier. And then we've got our second one where they have to create their product for the budget. So we've got both of those right there with some more information for the teachers. We do have a video to help them out with the design process, and that, if you remember the student task plan that I showed earlier, that really walks students through what are all of the steps that they're going to have to do in order to go through and create these different products. So again, having those embedded check-ins throughout the way. And then finally, the main and the heart of Define Learning is going to be creating their product. And so students are able to just go through, create their product. They're going to be able to upload it right into Define Learning, which then becomes part of their online portfolio, which stays with them as long as they have Define Learning. And I'll walk you through what a portfolio looks like here as well. So we've got a final check-in here. And that's pretty much the structure of every single task. They're all going to have kind of all of those different components and elements there. Now, like I mentioned, what you saw is all customizable. So up here, you can see I can hit Customize Project. Teachers want to put their own little spin on things. We always like to kind of compare this to like a meal kit, where depending on everybody's different comfort levels with PBL, this is all designed to be used right out of the box. Maybe if people are brand new to PBL and we've got this ready to go, but maybe you want to put some flares on it, kind of like cooking. I can do stuff right out of the box, or I can do my own thing if I want to be a chef here. So you're going to make a copy, you can name it whatever we want, and click Begin Customization. So right now, while it's making a copy, everything that you just saw, whether it was down below or the slide deck, we're going to be able to edit. So right there, I have a button to enable editing. I can go in and edit any of the slides if I would like. Or I can also go down, use all of these pencils appeared. I can edit any of this text. So any of this can be changed as well. So I'm not going to change anything right now, but it's very easy. All of those just turn right into a text field. So I'm going to turn that off. And then anything that I create is going to be saved right there in my projects. So I can go back, customize, use them year after year if I'd like. I can share these with my whole department if I would like to, and have everybody doing the exact same project at the same time. You can assign this right to students. There's also a link that you can create that can send it right to like an LMS, or if you want to use this on a web page, lots of different ways to share the projects as well. So I do want to take some time here too and just show you very briefly what a portfolio is. So when we were talking about, students are able to create these products, they're getting that hands-on experience, they're getting to also learn about careers. They're also building their portfolio all along the way. So as an educator, I just went to my classes, and this is where you're going to have access to all of your students. So if I wanted to go into my, I was doing a grade 6 math class here, can go in, let's take a look at Kirby. Here's his portfolio. We can take a look, and actually students are building their own resume as they work through Define Learning as well. You can see that's where it's going to open. We've got, their information, we've got experience, education, extracurriculars, and then they're able to showcase any of their highlighted projects. So anything that they are doing within Define Learning or Define Careers as well, they're able to pick and choose and customize what they put right on their resume. But going into just Define Learning, anything that they are uploading, through the platform is going to stay with them. So here we've got all of the different Define Learning projects that Kirby has completed right there at their fingertips. They're also able, and you'll notice this is a unified portfolio. So if they do have Define Careers, that's all right there at the same time. But if they don't, that's okay too. And that just doesn't show up. There is also a section here for personal projects. So anything outside of Define Learning that they would like to include too. Maybe it's proof of community service, or test scores or something like that. They're also able to add that there as well. And the last thing here that I'll show, going back to Kirby, in addition to that portfolio, I always like to showcase the career cluster wheel too, because one of the things that's really exciting about Define Learning is that students are learning about all of these different careers. So you can see right in here, Kirby has had 20 different experiences in which career clusters they're seeing. This is all interactive. You can expand this, and you can see exactly which careers that they have experienced within either Define Learning, or if they have Define Careers as well, you can kind of see exactly where they were experiencing that. So I will pause there, and we can kind of see if we have any questions that have come on along the way, and kind of throw it back to you for a little bit, Andy.
Yeah, so we do have some great questions, Lisa, and great comments. And first of all, thank you. I mean, we're always endeavoring, to help students answer the question of why in the world am I learning this? So we really focused on this real world application piece. So you can see that we're tied to standards. You can see that real world application, and then it ties perfectly into career exploration for students. And of course, there's a lot. We're asking students to publish their work. We're certainly providing that voice and choice of multiple products, and I know anywhere from between 2 and 5 products. But Jody Bennett asked a great question, Lisa, and as a former math teacher yourself, I'm gonna lean on you for this one. But and I would answer one way, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. But Jody asked, if you were a 6th grade math teacher, would you specifically assign one specific project, or would you give the students options to choose? So if there are 2 projects based on a unit 1, would students choose between the 2 projects, or would the teacher choose? Like, how would you answer that question, Lisa?
Well, that's a really a great question. It comes up quite a bit. And the answer is there's no wrong answer here. Really, teachers can do whatever they really want and what's going to be best for their students in their classrooms. What we typically recommend, maybe if the class is new to PBL, it kind of depends with the familiarity of PBL, and is how I would recommend. But if everybody is brand new to Define Learning, it might be good to have everybody kind of working on the same 1 or 2 projects. And then as students are getting more used to it, that's when you can provide maybe a little bit more choice. It's kind of a good rule of thumb, but really it's up to really your comfort level as a teacher, if you're okay with having multiple students working on different projects as well. But there's really, like I said, no wrong answer there. But if I were a brand new teacher with Define Learning, I would probably have everybody working on the same, and there's a functionality I didn't get into, but you can assign students into teams within Define Learning and assign those projects out that way. So probably a little bit more structure at first is is typically what we hear is good. And a lot of times schools are having we hear about one per quarter sometimes to start, it's one project per semester. But it really just kind of depends on the comfort level and kind of where things best fit within your curriculum as well.
Thanks, Lisa. And also just, of course, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it to you because it's another great one. But if you purchase Define Learning, do students still have access to the Define Careers tab? And that's also from Jody.
Jody, you're full of great questions today. That is, yes, they still would have the tab. So when I clicked on that and you had all of the information about that career, all students in middle school and high school would still have access to that if they have Define Careers. That there was a button that said experience in Define Careers, and then that would take them into the other platform. And so if they didn't have it, there was just one button that they wouldn't have, but they would still have all of that really great career information right there at their fingertips.
So I'm going to go into another question. This one is from Elaine Buxton. And Lisa, how does Define Learning align with ICAP?
Oh, great. So actually, that's way ahead of me. I'm going to be talking a little bit about, and it depends on what I know. ICAP in Colorado is one thing, but there's also ICAP in Oklahoma, and there's ICAP across multiple different states, and they're all just a little bit different, but certainly some sort of a career and academic plan, right? So this, I'm actually going to put a pin in it for a little bit because I'm going to come back and show one way that you can use this for. I was actually on a call with Arizona, who has ECAP, and this was something that they were very interested in for helping meet ECAP goals. And the same thing for ICAP. There's a lot of really great, as you saw when we were going through Define Learning, there's a lot of different ways that they're going to be able to build different skills, future-ready skills, that we can really build, customized rubrics to help measure those different things. We already saw the rubric that's in there, but I'm going to come back and show you one of the ways that we can kind of go in and help measure not only ICAP, but maybe a portrait or a profile of a graduate or any sort of, custom plan that you're trying to measure, whether it's a statewide initiative or a district or a school initiative. We can really go in, and I'm going to show you some really powerful reporting that you can use as well based on whatever type of plan, ICAP, ECAP, portrait of a graduate, any of those, we can really customize and build right into the platform and start to measure a lot of those different competencies.
Also a nice teaser for our May 22nd webinar on Define Careers, where we're going to be going directly into many of those ICAP features as well. But thank you, Elaine. So I know that there's a couple other, I'll just make a comment. There's questions about LMS. We integrate nicely with LMS, and which really takes the students creating logins completely out of the equation. Hopefully there was another one. Oh, and also just the data privacy agreements. We have data privacy agreements in place pretty much everywhere with states, and we can always send a copy of those or sign whatever is needed. But typically, most states do have some type of data privacy agreement that we do adhere to. So I wanted to make comment to that as well. We thank everyone for all those questions, and I'm going to go ahead and please keep them coming, and we'll go ahead and continue. But Lisa, I know we talked a little bit about voice and choice, different options for teachers working with their students. You've talked about their portfolios and taking pride in their work over the course of years. And obviously it's a different kind of learning. The creativity is obviously a huge part of this, all these different skills that students are working on. In what ways does Define Learning prioritize understanding and retention of knowledge over just simply memorizing something?
Yes. Define Learning is perfect for this different kind of really deeper learning. So as you just saw in the demo, Define Learning is really providing, that project-based learning experiences that are deeply rooted in those real-world contexts and careers. So rather than just having to, memorize facts, students are really able to engage in those hands-on projects that require, critical thinking, problem solving, and really the application of those concepts that they're learning in school. So by immersing students in those authentic tasks that really, mirror the challenges that professionals face, Define Learning is really going to foster a deeper understanding of content and encourages long-term retention. So through this approach, students not only learn the material, but they're also developing those essential skills that are transferable to life beyond the classroom. So, and that to me is just really exciting. It's not just another, we've got, certainly research or those resources that are built in if needed, but this is going to be a lot more of that application and deeper learning for students.
Thanks, Lisa. And I'm gonna move on to another obvious area that people are always very interested in. It's like, how do we support the educators? I know that you've of course shown the ability to customize projects and for teachers to make it their own. And I also know that many of our partners have seasoned people that have been well trained in project-based learning. And so on, but we create this library to kind of bring this type of teaching and learning to the masses. And you can use things that are directly off the shelf, of course, but and then customize away. We also have a team of experts, of course, like John Larmer, who is the co-author of Gold Standard PBL, and many other experts like Dave Reese available in our organization. But day to day, what are some of the supports that Define Learning offers to educators to really help with that successful implementation? Maybe you could comment on that a little bit as well.
Yes, we have a plethora of resources that are available for educators. So I already went through a couple just to kind of showcase what was available right within the platforms. First time teachers are logging in. What does this course look like? What am I doing in here? We've got that course playbook for every single course within Define Learning. We've got those task plans, and those are all broken down by specific grade band as well. So you can kind of see, because we of course, I mentioned a little bit about how we adapt a little bit for elementary versus middle school, and everything's going to be written at the grade level, but also we're going to have different task plans as well, depending on the timing of all of those different projects as well. For those elementary tasks, we've got that book catalog, which is really a wonderful tool as well. So I'll kind of show you that. I will get back in the site here in just a little bit. We do have our knowledge base, our support page, where we've got a number of just on-demand quick tutorials for teachers if they want to see, how do I do a specific thing within Define Learning? They can just go watch a quick video or see a step-by-step guide. And then finally, we have just a world-class implementation team here as well. That's really at customers' disposal. They come on with an implementation kind of training webinar of how to log in, all of those different steps, but are there to support customers along the way. We have a number of other paid options as well. We have a number of virtual options to kind of be flexible in your schedule, whether you'd like to have, just a brief overview webinar or a 2 to 3 hour webinar, we can do that. We have a different, several in-person or on-site trainings. I know sometimes it's just nice to have somebody there rather than do something over Zoom. Although, like I said, we can do a hybrid model of either or both. We also have a number of different cohorts. So, a multi-day type training, which is also kind of a hybrid. We usually try to do the first one in person and then 2 more follow-ups to really have a structured implementation and knowledge of we like. Sometimes it's a train the trainer model. A lot of times we get asked about that. And if you want to have a whole group of your instructional coaches or, whoever you want to be part of a cohort and then bring that information back to everyone or have everybody trained in a cohort. We have a couple of different models there, the PBL leadership cohort, as well as the HQ PBL cohort, and a number of other ways that educators can really be trained and supported. And then finally, we have a whole suite of micro-credentials. So really having teachers be able to demonstrate their learning of all of the different components within PBL, and then they have their own badge and evidence of them being, certainly a pro at PBL too. So a whole bunch of different options for resources and support within Define Learning.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. And I'll make mention, as well, and all the supports. And we have our library of micro credentials. Also, those can be customized as well. I think of our great partners in Florida, Santa Rosa County, and some of the great work they're doing around micro credentialing. And that's an option. I'll also mention, one of our you talked about understanding by design, but one of our great advisors, Jay McTighe, and the self-paced modules that involve Jay McTighe that teachers can work their way through. So no shortage of options for professional learning as well. Moving on, every year we always host a program or an opportunity for people to learn a webinar about summer learning and some of the options. the nature of these projects, Lisa, they're so highly engaging, and of course they're a natural fit for summer learning. I wondered if you would talk a little bit, about two more things. One, summer learning, how we address that, and then also just we heard, about ICAP and measuring towards a project or to a portrait of a graduate or any other types of goals. Maybe if you could comment on those two things next.
Yes, I'd love to. And I'm actually going to go right back into the platform to show a couple of the different things that we do to support both of those items. So if I go back, we'll start with summer learning. So we actually have created a whole catalog based on just some of our most popular projects that are out there, kind of fan faves, if you will. But you'll see this catalog is on from April through August, and this is there for all customers. This is broken down into 4 courses. This is going to be broken down by grade band level. So again, I'll go into an elementary this time, just so we can kind of dig into the book catalog a little bit too, since I mentioned that. You'll see that's just up here along with those task plans that we saw before. But just to kind of give you a preview of what that looks like, and that is with all elementary tasks. But you can take a look at, any of these different grade bands, K-2 or 3-5, a lot of popular books that are typically used within classrooms then, and what are tasks that we have that align to that. But back to the summer learning project, we've got, you'll have your unit outline, but this is going to look a little bit different than when we were in the math catalog for grade 6. You're going to see that this has all of the different subject areas. We've got it broken down by math, science, social studies, computer science, engineering, STEM and society, STEAM, and integrated ELA. So we've got a little bit of something for everyone here across all of our different kind of popular different projects, and teachers can use these during their summer learning. And of course, they have access to the whole library too, but this was just designed to kind of be like, well, if I'm getting started, what are the ones that a lot of times people want to use? And that's what this summer learning catalog is all about, is there to help. Now, back to the other question related to, we did want to measure, and we kind of had a question earlier too about ICAP too, and these are kind of related questions here. Another thing that we can do within Defined Learning is we have a customized implementation of Defined Learning called Defined Goals. And this is where you can take a look right next to our summer learning project. You're going to see this catalog here for our goals module. And this is where, if you want to have a very prescriptive, we can build these catalogs specifically for you based on A, your scope and sequence, but B, also different competencies that you might be wanting to measure and then report on in the end. So down here in just our sample, we've got this broken down just for a middle school. This could be K-12. It can be as many grade levels as you want. We can also have flexibility in terms of how we set these up. But you're going to notice here, we've got just our basic same structure as before, but you're going to notice our unit outline is a little bit different again. So in this case, for this sample implementation, we're going to have just a first semester and a second semester project. You're going to see it's broken down by 3 different content areas: math, social studies, and science. And you'll also notice that we're thinking about different competencies that we're trying to measure and get some, see where our students are. A lot of folks have a portrait or profile of a graduate, or are trying to meet goals related to all of those future ready skills. But how do we know if students are actually, growing and learning and developing all of these skills and competencies that we want them to have by the time they graduate? So what we can do within Defined Learning then, and like I said, this is just as a sample. It's kind of good to even just we could do first, all quarters, or here we're just going to do 2 semesters. If I went into this math, it's going to be the exact same project that we already had in our library. But what we can do is go in, we've just cut it down to everybody's going to be doing the exact same product. There's only one here. And you'll notice we have customized the rubric already for you. So teachers don't have to do anything here. And we're measuring critical thinking. So students or teachers are going to be able to go in, assess students, how they were doing with that critical thinking skills. And then I'm going to show you some really cool reports that you can do here too. So that is kind of one of the components of Defined Goals, using Defined Learning here, that you can really focus on those different competencies. So I'll dig also into, like I said, I wanted to show you just a quick sneak peek of some reporting there too. We wanted to see how students were doing from first to second semester with that critical thinking or any of those different goals that you have. I have 4 indicators here. This could be whatever it is that your district is trying to measure. I'm just going to go ahead and you can see if we can filter by school, grade level, teacher, as well as classes. If we chose teachers, I'm just going to do everything here. But here's where you can really dig in and get some data if I wanted to break it down by semester and see exactly how students are doing with those different competencies. So a very cool kind of custom implementation of defined learning. That's one option. Now back to that question about ICAP, or like I said, a portrait of a graduate, we do have a way to track progress exactly with that. And I actually have an example of the Colorado ICAP in here. There's no actual data, but just to kind of show you what this looks like, if I were to go in and take a look, we could write this all out for you in your Defined Learning platform. Students have access to it and are able to kind of keep track of their progress. And then what you'll see, like I said, I don't even have any sample data here. 100% of students have not started their plan, but this will break it down by each one of those different, we have students being able to track their progress with each one of those indicators. You know, I know in Colorado, we had self-awareness, career awareness, all these different ideas. And again, we don't have any data in this one, but you can kind of see what it looks like. Then you can even drill into a specific element. So these were all of the ones that, we can actually show the detail of a specific statement as well. So actually, let me go back in and show you what it looks like for a plan that does have just some sample data in it. I'm just going to go into our defined portrait of a graduate. And here you can kind of see a little bit more interesting. Most still haven't started. We've got some who have started and some who have actually completed it. Again, kind of breaking it down. All of this is interactive. You can see exactly where students are with each one of those different areas. And then again, just like we saw before, you can see all of those different statements as well and drill down into a different, specific statement and see how they're doing on that too. All of this you can also download as a CSV file too. So a lot of really great reporting that's available, in terms of your portrait or profile of a graduate, or if you have an ICAP or ECAP or any sort of career and academic plan, we do have the ability to add those in there as well. So those were the key things that I wanted to hit from that, that particular item there in terms of summer learning, as well as those specific competencies. So
I'm going to jump at one more question before we move on, Lisa, is just the questions, the projects that from what you just shown, the projects are aligned to these elements in ICAP or otherwise. Just wanted to point out that that question was asked, and the answer is yes, it's an iterative process as we work with our partners to select those specific projects that will be measuring those specific competencies or goals. Were there any other comments you'd like to make on that, Lisa? Just that question about the projects and how they're aligned to these specific elements.
No, that's a great question, and thanks for bringing it up. Yes, it's a very consultative process with our team, in the district, and what's going to work best to all of our projects are great for measuring a lot of those future ready skills. Some sometimes lend themselves a little bit better than others, and also may or may not fit within your actual scope and sequence too. So we take a look at all of those details and figure out what's going to be the best fit for you and your students. So great comment there.
So I think we can probably move ahead then to the summary, Lisa.
Great. Well, I'm just going to kind of do a wrap up really quick. Again, thanks so much for all of your time today. Hopefully this was informative, but just to kind of, summarize what you saw, Defined Learning is really that library of, it's nearly 100,000, or not 100,000, but thousands of products, over 1,000 just career connected projects for K-12. And like we saw, each one of those projects has between 2 and 3 products within it, and even actually our STEAM tasks have 5, so thousands literally of products that students can create. Everything is customizable. We've got all of the different videos already at their fingertips there, product specific rubrics, all of those research resources right there for students. You saw the portfolio and the resume builder that students are working on the entire time that they have access to Defined Learning and building. We've got multiple different support and training options there too. So whatever whatever works best for you, any sort of a hybrid training model of, in person, online, on demand, we've got something for everybody. And then what we just saw at the very end is you do have an option for a customized implementation too, that you can really use to track progress, whether it's for any sort of school district or state goals, ICAP, ECAP, portraits, profiles of a graduate, and you name it, we can really have a great way to put that in for a student to track, and for you as schools or districts to be able to kind of track all that progress as well.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I want to take a moment to thank our audience for being here today. All the great questions, everyone that registered, and many that could not attend. Everyone's going to receive a copy of this. There will also be a means for you to interact with us. Kimberly, we have an email drafted to you already. It'll be sent to you shortly with your credentials. But if you'd like to learn more, we've had a couple of different QR codes on here, and here's one if you'd like to read a case study, some great research showing academic gains in ELA and math in one of our great partner districts. So if you'd like to learn more about that, there's a QR code there. And then also just wanted a teaser for next month. We're going to be delving deeper into careers with our career platform called Define Careers, and that will be held on May 22nd. And if you wouldn't mind advancing the slide for that one as well, Lisa, we have a QR code for that if you'd like to register and find out more about another of our platforms. But again, on behalf of Define Learning, on behalf of Lisa, I want to thank all of you for being here, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to interact with you more in the future. And don't hesitate to reach out directly with any questions that you have. When you get the email, we'll be happy to spend time with you individually as well. So I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and thanks again for joining us. Take care, everyone.
Thank you all.